there was an interview this week that I saw with Kirk Franklin and Lecrae, and they were talking about a whole lot of different things, namely like controversy, in Kirk's life and the industry and secular versus sacred and a lot of stuff like that. But what I thought was really interesting about this conversation was there was a point in there where Kirk started talking about excellence in production. And I don't think that's a topic that we talk about a lot, especially not in the gospel industry. And so let's pull up this clip. Listen to this.
In the early 90s, one thing that I am very clear on is that, unfortunately, is that excellence and being perfect at your gift was not part of the conversation that I was raised in the space of gospel music. That how your mix sound, how your beat sound, how your drum sound, how your organ sound, how your kick sound, how your auxiliary sounds, what type of mic you're using on your vocal. Those that the conversations of excellence was not really part of the fabric of the genre that I was in. So when I get a chance to go into worlds where everything that has been drilled in them is excellent, it's because they're very competitive in that world, and they're not afraid to, this producer's not afraid to tell you that he's trying to get 5 number ones, and that producer or that engineer has just finished mixing.
So listen to that. Pay attention to that. I think there's some nuggets and some truth there. He says that in versus gospel, we're talking about gospel as in the production world of gospel versus the production world of the secular production world. He said these producers over there care more about how their drums sound. Like they'll literally sit in the studio and they will spend hours trying to get a kick drum right, trying to get a guitar, not even a guitar part, but like a sample right. You know what I'm saying? There's a different level and a different type of energy that they put into their craft that we don't put into, or as Kirk was saying, we haven't been taught or hasn't been celebrated. We've just been in the space of just like, just kind of do it. You got the kit set up, you got the basic mics from Guitar Center, the Sabian B8 cymbals, and you got the basic Shure drum mic pack, you know what I'm saying? And you got just a Personas interface and you're like, yeah, I'm ready to like go ahead and start recording here in the crib, you know what I'm saying? Send me some work. You know what I'm saying? But what about the guy that actually took the time to not only just perfect his craft and the skill set, but also has taken the time and the opportunity in the space to craft those sonics? But what happens in our genre, and I'm going to speak specifically to gospel, what a lot of times, especially around live recordings in this new kind of space of recording, everybody's got a digital mixer like a Studio Live or a Behringer Wing or a Behringer X32, and they're like, yep, we ready to do a live recording. And it's like, bro, a whole live recording on a Behringer? I'm not saying it can't be done. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but I'm saying you're going to work significantly harder trying to produce that or make that sound like a record than you would if you had took the time to hire like a Danny Duncan or Derek Stevenson. These are two of my favorite like live engineers. There's a couple other people I can think of, their name escapes me, but they take time and they bring in preamps and they do compression and to the point where if you've ever heard a Danny Duncan recording, it sounds like it's ready to go to the live playback sounds like it's ready to go to the radio right then. The problem is a lot of us don't care enough and we will jump straight in with a X32 and then 2 years later, you're still doing post work. I know a record right now that was recorded like a year ago, and they are still. It was an X32 recording. I didn't get a chance to mix it. I'm glad I didn't because now I see that they are still stuck in like post land trying to make this record work. You know what I'm saying? So it matters. But then you take somebody like a Jamel Kimbrough, and we got that pod on our channel, the Hangout Pod. Make sure you check that out because he talks about it. Who spends 6 months recording the live record. Like they will literally do pre-production for 6 months on the record. So by the time they get to the live recording night, the record is actually already done. All they're getting is the live vocals, the crowd reaction, and live drums. Everything else in moments, worship moments and all of that. So those are the things that we don't talk about a lot in our industry. And I think it really speaks heavy to what Kirk is saying in this moment. I'm going to run it back a little bit so you guys can get that context again. And let's see what he said, because he talks a little bit more. So I want you guys to really kind of pay attention. I'm excited to reveal something game-changing for us and for you as producers and musicians. I want to introduce to you Peculiar Sounds version 2. We've introduced standalone mode, allowing you to use it independently from any DAW. You can now blend up to 2 sounds to create rich and complex textures. We added in 2 brand new effects, the Lo-Fizer and the Mod Filter. The Lo-Fizer gives you instant lo-fi vibes with just a button, while the Mod Filter adds dynamic movement and flow to any sound you apply it to. And we also added the innovative new MIDI browser that provides you with hundreds of chord progressions, melodies, and drum loop MIDI files that you can drag straight into your DAW. And as a bonus, V2 now includes Sounds Off the Block expansion for totally free, bringing the total to over 400 patches. So as you can see, Peculiar Sounds V2 is not just an update, it's a revolutionary new plugin. So make sure you check the website right now and you can get your hands on this game-changing plugin.
Your beat sound, how your drum sound, how your organ sound, how your kick sound, how your auxiliary sounds, what type of mic you're using on your vocal. Those that the conversations of excellence was not really part of the fabric of the genre that I was in. So when I get a chance to go into worlds where everything that has been drilled in them is excellent, it's because they're very competitive in that world, and they're not afraid to, this producer's not afraid to tell you that he's trying to get 5 number ones, and that producer or that engineer has just finished mixing.
But isn't that a thing, like, what I'm saying, like this whole false humility that we have, where we're afraid to, like, showcase or talk about in gospel, that we're afraid to talk about like our awards, our the pursuit of that excellence. Like, we don't talk about that.
Last Timberlake record or the last, Steely Dan album. And so their ears are attuned to another sound. Like one of the greatest engineers in the industry that has mixed some of the biggest albums on the planet. His name is Dave Pensado. Dave Pensado mixed Looking For You.
Pensado.
And I remember being in LA and him just being in.
Now, I didn't know that when I was watching this. I didn't know that Dave Pensado mixed Looking For You. He mixed that by Kirk. I've been looking for you. So that's a Dave. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that now, because that's a Dave Pensado mix. That's crazy to think about.
With the final project, and for him to love what he did in the space of gospel. And Dave Pensado didn't ever really do, he hadn't done anything gospel. And from time to time now, Dave Pensado's retired. He'll call and leave a message on my phone. It's like, and so to work with people that have been trained to be excellent, all it does is that it just magnifies your hunger and your appetite to be excellent in your own space. But a lot of times in your own space, you're not always in environments where excellence is always, and that's not a slight. A lot of that has to do with exposure. And a lot of it has to do with economics. It's because in gospel music, you may not have $100,000 to do a project. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think some of it has to do with the fact that people think just because they're doing it for Jesus, they can get a pass.
That's fair too.
You know what I'm saying? I think sometimes people are like, well, it's for the Lord. It ain't got to be.
That's that amateur night at the Apollo.
Yeah.
Then ain't nobody gonna boo you because you say Jesus.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think there's some elements of that as well. As you were just telling that story.
That's dope. That's dope. So shout out to Kirk and Lecrae for having that conversation. I really thought that was dope, and it's so true. Like I said, we don't spend enough time talking about this in our community. And that's one of our functions that I love here when we strive for at Gospel Producers, is we try to educate. And if you didn't know, we got a whole suite of like master classes on the site. I got a 10-hour course on mixing on the website right now on gospelproducers.com. Matter of fact, no, hold on. Give me a second. Let's pull that up. Let me pull that up really, really quickly. This is a 6-hour mixing class with John Blast that we have on the website right now that you can go buy, where Blast talks about his mixing process and mixes and does all of that stuff like that. We got Intro to Logic Pro X class. We got an Intro to Pro Tools class. Not only that, I have like classes we did with Aaron Lewis and Jamel Kimbrough and Dave Outing and God rest his soul, Paris Bowens. We got an opportunity to do a master class with Paris before he died. I think this was the last real class thing that he did before he had a chance to pass, before he passed. But you can get his class on our site right now, and it's the Art of Aux, and he talks about how he creates aux. Really dope class. And then again, let's go back here, because again, I've always been about excellence and trying to disseminate that. Recording and Mixing by John Yash. So not only is it a not only is it a mixing class, it's also a recording class. Yash teaches you how to record. You know what I'm saying? He teaches you how to record well. So that stuff what I was talking about before with Duncan and how the record sounds mixed by the time the recording is finished, I experienced that real time as well with Yash. So he teaches you how to record, because you don't learn how to mix good just by mixing. You learn how to mix good by recording. We got the art of mastering. So I said all that to say, and then not only that, shameless plug, drop this in here. We got templates. We got mixing templates. We got all of that stuff like that. They're on sale right now for $34. You know what I'm saying? So, see, somebody just bought the gospel mixing template for Logic Pro. You know what I'm saying? So we have those on there. You can get mixing templates. You can get mixing classes. So this conversation about excellence is something that I continually have, and I've tried to continually have over the years. And that's the mission and the core principle of what we're trying to accomplish, is teaching, educating, having these conversations, talking to the best, because like Kirk said, a lot of that is exposure. A lot of that is information that you just don't know, seeing somebody else do it. And so if you listen to Kirk's music, it makes sense now why he takes his time to do albums. You know what I'm saying? He'll put out an album every 5 or 6 years because he's been working on it. He didn't just wake up one morning and just say, you know what, we're going to do an album. We're going to have it ready and we're going to put it out next month. No, he will wake up and say, all right, but do my next record, and we're probably going to release this in 2027. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he will work on that record for 3 years because he's working on excellence in production and in mixing and in mastering, from the first note all the way down to the final master. They're having that conversation, and that's what separates the good from the best. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that video helped. Let me know what you think down in the comment section of this video, and let's keep this conversation going.